Most of the time, I'm sanding, I'm painting, I'm gluing my thrift finds into something new, but not today. In this video, I'm going to show you amazing pieces that you can mostly just buy and style as is. A few got a little love, but most were perfect right off the shelf, and they look incredible in my home. So let's go treasure hunting. The cutest little chair that I found at a yard sale the other weekend. It was $5. It's in really rough shape. I don't want to do anything to it because I love the patina. So I sprayed it with some outdoor polyacrylic sealer and tucked it into my garden. I've added a mum on it and using it as a plant stand. I think it's so cute, and it's tucked away a little bit out of the elements under the eaves of our log home. So hopefully it'll last for a lot more years. Sometimes when you find things at the thrift store, you don't actually need to upcycle it. You can just repurpose it. Now, I found this beautiful rocking chair. It's a little tiny one. Looks like somebody might have had a little puppy that was a little bit aggressive on some of the corners. Hopefully not a child, but probably a little puppy. And I'm just going to turn it into a plant stand. I paid $4.99 for it, and it's so beautiful. And just to put a potted plant on top of it, I think it's going to be perfect. And I found the perfect spot for it right beside our fireplace, snuggled in between Tina's little bed. Great way to repurpose a vintage rocking chair. I also wanted to share with you this attendance plaque that I found from the 1930s. Somebody was just discarding this, and I think it would be really beautiful tucked into a gallery wall or something like that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'm going to tuck it away. I'm not going to upcycle it because I think things like these need to be saved and not taken apart. With just a few easy tweaks, I could get a fresh new look and make it blend into my space. This piece had 3 parts, including this glass votive, and I don't think it was supposed to go together. I'm going to save that for a future project. I focused on the little gold vase instead, giving it a coat of matte black spray paint. Once it was dry, I added some moss and a beautiful faux succulent to create a completely new piece of decor. I placed it on the rocking chair that I cleaned and dusted, and I love the way that it turned out. So much better, and it doesn't look dated anymore. Now I have a beautiful and modern piece of decor that's completely transformed from that 1980s vibe. It's a true testament to the power of simple DIY tweaks to take something old and make it look new again. This one is a really special project. I found this vintage light fixture without a base, and I decided to turn it into a table lamp. Luckily, I found a base that had a light already in it, and that globe fit perfectly on top. I just needed to find a way to make that light fixture sit on that base and not fall off and be a little bit permanent, but be able to still remove it if I needed to change the bulb. I was trying to figure out how to make it work, and I came up with the idea of using double-sided tape to hold that light fixture in place. I think it should work well enough because it's pretty secure even though it won't be permanent. I often come across these light fixtures at the thrift store, and I'm always drawn to them because I love to upcycle them. I recently found another one, and I turned it into a planter that I put a pothos in, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This is just double-sided tape that I found at the dollar store, and this is what it was like all put together. It's secure. I have that light bulb underneath, and I can turn it on, and it's going to be perfect right here in my little corner to light it up, and it gives little beams of light off of it when I turn it on in the dark. So I'm sure after you've watched this video and you go to the thrift store for your next trip, you're going to head right to the light fixtures and see if you can find something like this and recreate it. I'm guaranteed you'll look for something like that. I've been searching for a stair basket for ages, but wasn't willing to spend a fortune on one from Amazon. They're way too expensive. So when I came across this one, I didn't think twice and went straight into my cart. Now it's a great addition to our staircase. I filled it with a cozy blanket, a faux plant, and some books that I thrifted, and it's perfect for collecting things to take upstairs in all one trip. Patience is key when it comes to thrifting, and I'm so glad I waited. This was definitely meant to be. Hey, I just found this gorgeous handmade pottery bowl, and I couldn't leave it behind. It didn't have a price tag, but they sold it to me for $3.99, so obviously it's coming home with me. I have a serious obsession with handmade pottery right now. My collection is getting a little bit out of control, but when I see pieces like this, I just can't say no. Look at those little twirly handles. It's got so much character. And it has markings on the bottom from 2020. So I gave it a good scrub with soap and water, and now it's ready to use. Right now, I'm using it to hold my kiwis, but honestly, there's so many other ways that you could use this cute little dish. You could fill it with dried lavender or pine cones for a cozy vibe. You could even use it for a catch-all for keys and jewelry. And you could also put a succulent in it or a candle holder. I just love finding unique pieces like this at the thrift store, and handmade pottery always adds such a cool one-of-a-kind touch to your space. I recently picked up this wooden bowl and a candlestick holder at the thrift store. We're going to merge these two together into a single piece in an effortless way to upcycle. The secret? Just a dab of E6000 glue or any other powerful adhesive that's going to permanently fuse these items together. All you need to do is place the bowl on a flat surface and position the candlestick holder in the center and ensure that it's perfectly aligned. Let it dry, and voila! In no time, this upcycle can be transformed into a chic little catch-all for jewelry, a perfect addition for you to hold some keys, or maybe a stylish kitchen accessory to keep ingredients handy while you cook. Possibilities are endless, and this DIY project is both speedy and uncomplicated. Let's try to upcycle one item a day for a more sustainable future. This votive was from the thrift store, and it was from a previous project that I've done, and instead of letting it go to waste, I decided to repurpose it using a little piece of spindle that had already been painted. The spindle's color was actually really nice, so I just sanded it down a bit to give it more of a distressed look. Then I got out my trusty E6000 glue. This is an adhesive that works wonders on all sorts of DIY projects. I applied it to the bottom of the spindle, turned the votive upside down, and make sure that that spindle is in the center of the candle holder. Set it aside, let it dry. It's that simple. Now this upcycled votive and spindle is a perfect addition to any corner of your home decor. It creates a really nice light when you put a votive in it, and these also make great gifts. I leave my eyes when I turned the corner at the thrift store and I spotted this painting. It's exactly what I've been hoping to find for our living room. Huge, beautiful, and an original oil painting. I grabbed it fast. I wasn't going to let this one get away. I've been holding out for something big to hang over our couch, and this one couldn't be more perfect. The colors, the texture, everything about it just feels right. And it's even signed, which makes it even more special. And my favorite part is that little girl walking along the road. It's such a beautiful detail. I honestly can't believe I found this, and I feel like it was meant to be. Greenery also at the thrift store, but it had these cheap looking white flowers on it. Took them all off. It looked way better after they were done, but I still wanted to elevate it. So I got some of my white acrylic paint and I dry brushed the leaves, and it just kind of made them look more expensive and high end. I also found this handmade pottery vase that's just gorgeous, $3.49. So I added that sprig of greenery into it. That little bit of dusting of white acrylic paint on it made it look so it's not so faux. Faux plants are always worth checking out at thrift stores. You've probably seen how pricey they can be at department stores. Some may seem a little bit tacky, so look for ones that are full, natural looking, and have really beautiful colors. I was thrilled when I found this ivy, and it was in a really cute little wicker basket. I think this one really resembles real ivy. It was a bit dusty and dirty. I took it to my kitchen sink and I gave it a good scrub with some soapy water. And after that, I placed it outside on the deck and let it dry in the warm sun. If gardening isn't your strong suit, faux plants are a perfect match. Lately, I've been fortunate enough to come across some really stunning ones. I have some spots in my home that don't receive much sunlight, so I'd like to place the faux plants there. It saves me the trouble of buying real plants that wouldn't thrive due to the lack of sunlight. These faux beauties require no green thumb and always look vibrant. Racks can be really expensive, so when I found this one at the thrift store for just $8.99, I knew it was coming home with me. It had a great shape and it was a sturdy design. It just needed a little refresh. A few coats of black matte spray paint gave it a whole new look, making it functional and a great addition to one of our bedrooms. Now it's a perfect spot to hang a blanket or a house coat when guests come over. For under $10, this was definitely a budget-friendly and practical thrift store find. This little wicker basket totally caught my eye. I think it's the two handles that made me want to grab it. Quick tip, if you ever find wicker baskets at the thrift store and they look a little worn or dusty, you can easily freshen them up with a little cleaning. Just wipe them down with a damp cloth, and if the wicker feels a little stiff, give it a light rub with a little bit of olive oil to condition it and restore some of its shine. It fits perfectly on the back of my toilet, and I love how it looks with a little greenery and a roll of toilet paper inside. At $3.99 plus my discount, it was such a steal. Okay. I love finding cutting boards at the thrift store, especially when they have a little bit of character. And this one, it's beautiful. It has a marble handle and it's only $5.99. Plus I have a 20% off discount code, so this is definitely coming home with me. A lot of thrifted cutting boards just need a good scrub with soap and water and a little bit of wood conditioner to bring them back to life. This is my go-to wood conditioner. It's made specifically for cutting boards, butcher blocks. It's food safe, protects the wood, and keeps it looking amazing. Just wipe it on with a paper towel, let it sit for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then wipe off any excess. Let it fully absorb for 24 hours before using it on food. If you don't have any wood conditioner, you can use mineral oil. Just make sure that it's food safe. Avoid any vegetable oils since they can go rancid. And now this thrifted cutting board is looking better than ever. A little cleaning, a little conditioning, and it's ready for my kitchen. So keep an eye out for some cutting boards the next time at your thrift store. And here's a quick tip. If your cutting board has any lingering odors like garlic or onion, rub it with half a lemon and a sprinkle of salt. It'll help deodorize and refresh the wood before you put the conditioner on. This piece was just sitting there waiting for me to pick up, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's a Royal Banquet Unicorn Japan Creamer. And out of curiosity, I did a Google Lens reverse search. Turns out it's a little bit collectible, but not worth hundreds. But still a great find. And I love unique pieces like this, ones that you don't see mass produced. Unfortunately, there weren't any other matching pieces, but I'm just happy that I found the creamer, and I just love the colors. I think it'll make a perfect little home for a spider plant, and it's going to look amazing displayed in my dining room. I found another beautiful piece of handmade pottery. It's a bit of a Christmas theme, but for $5.99, I'm not going to pass it up. I'm going to bring it home and I'm going to tuck it away for next Christmas. I never buy hangers brand new. This entire bundle was $1.99, and since I needed a few extras, it's coming home with me to put in the closet. And I don't mind that they're all different colors. They do their job, and that's all that matters. Do you remember these ceramic frogs? I feel like every kitchen in the 80s had one. My mom had a green one sitting by the sink, and it always held a scour pad. Seeing this little guy brought back so many memories, but just as I was about to walk away, something else caught my eye. This framed oil painting. I love it, but the winter theme made me hesitate since I'd have to swap it out seasonally. I put it back, but now I know I'm going to regret it. Maybe I just should have grabbed it and had it in my stash. As soon as I saw this piece, it caught my eye. It looked like tin. Maybe it's even like cut tin. I'm not quite sure. But what I did know is that it's beautifully ornate. Then, just as I was turning the corner in this thrift store, I spotted a glass globe. And right away I wondered, could it fit into this little tin vase? And sure enough, it did. It was like a match made in heaven. Both these pieces are coming home with me. And I'm going to place a candle inside of the vase. And now it's a perfect centerpiece in my dining room. And it's absolutely beautiful. I've paired it with some more of my glass globes that I've collected. I cannot believe I found these two separate pieces and merged them together, and it worked out amazing. I found this gorgeous hurricane lamp replica for $6.99, and I knew it was going to be perfect for my dining room. It's designed to hold a candle or a votive, so I grabbed it. And once I got home, I gave it a good scrub with some soap and water, and it looks amazing. A candle fits perfectly, and all it's left to do is just to hang it on the wall. And if you don't want to use a real candle in these types of items, you can also use a battery operated one, and a lot of them come with a remote, so it's much more practical. Either way, for $6.99, this was a great thrift store find. Check out this adorable little teddy bear planter. It's so cute, but what really caught my attention was the one right beside it. I love the retro vibe of it, and at $3.99, it's definitely coming home with me. And I'm planning to turn it into a planter, so I grabbed some of my potting mix, and I had a few leftover spider plant clippings, and it was the absolute perfect fit. I love finding unique planters at the thrift store. I hardly ever buy them new because there's so many one-of-a-kind options at such a great price, and they have so much more character. This little gem now sits in front of a bright window in my living room, and it matches perfectly with my decor. Upcycle is this accordion coat hanger. I don't find that it's really durable, and it's probably not going to be very sturdy to hold a whole lot of things on. I'm going to upcycle it into a plant trellis. I have a wooden stake that I got at the dollar store, and I'm going to use it to secure and make it a little bit more stable. I'm just going to hot glue it in, and it has a stake at the end so we can stick it into the dirt in the plant. Now that that stake is in there, it won't close and collapse. It's glued tight, and we're going to put it in my plant. And that's going to help my pothos plant trail up that coat rack. I spotted this little brass candle holder, and it immediately caught my eye. I love the warm tone of the brass, and at just $3.99, I couldn't pass it up. I wish I had found a matching pair. I checked all of the shelves, but this was the only one that I could see. And then on another tray, I came across these small glass candle inserts. They looked like they were meant to fit into a type of holder like this, so I decided to test it out. I really love the orange one. The purple was not my vibe. And look at that, it fits perfectly. I already have the perfect spot for it in my dining room. I'll hang it in a little corner with a votive candle, and I can already picture the warm, cozy glow that it's going to give off with that orange glass. I love discovering unexpected pieces that weren't originally meant to go together, but end up being the perfect match. Here it is in my dining room, just beautiful. The glow from the votive through the glass is so warm, and while I do wish I had found the second one, I'm happy to enjoy this unique little find just as it is. It's a little bit of an upcycle, something that I love to do. If I find these faux flowers at the thrift store, I always pick them up, especially if they're really lifelike. And a lot of the times they're in baskets that are really ugly. I don't like the handles on them. And this is how easy it is to remove the handle. Just cut it with a pair of side cutters, and usually those bits and pieces will come right out, and you're just left with a round basket without the handle, and it doesn't look as dated. Now here's that little trinket box, and I'm pretty sure it was cedar. It came up beautiful. I sanded it down with some 120 grit sandpaper, and now I'm going to seal it up with some matte polyacrylic sealer. So here's the before, really ugly, really orange, and this is what I was able to upcycle it into. A perfect little box to keep some earrings and necklaces and little keepsakes. One thing I always love to thrift is plant pots. They're a fraction of the price of new ones, which can be really pricey, and they also come in many unique styles. They're not going to look mass produced. When I found this one for just $4.99, I love the rustic red color of it, and I knew it was going to be perfect for a new plant that I just bought at our grocery store. I picked up this beautiful potted plant from our local Food Basic grocery store, which is surprisingly a great place to find affordable plants. It was just $7.99, and that was a steal, especially at how expensive plants have become lately. When I buy planters, I always make sure they have drainage holes, or I drill one myself and place a catch tray underneath. Proper drainage is key to keeping your plants healthy, and luckily this pot already has holes, making it a perfect home for my new plant. And I have a little sunny window where this little plant is going to thrive. And I got both the pot and the plant for under $12. I love adding plants to my home decor. They bring so much life and warmth to a space. Plus, many of them help purify the air, making them both beautiful and beneficial. I had this old grater that I picked up at the thrift store, and then I rusted it with some peroxide and salt and water. It turned out fantastic. I'm going to seal it up with some polyacrylic sealer. Just add this little clamp on the top. I printed off one of my farmhouse graphics that I coffee stained, clipped it on the front, put a faux flower in the middle. How easy is this? And I think it's really pretty. What are the chances of finding a wooden G at the thrift store? Pretty slim, but somehow I did. And since our last name is Gourlay, it couldn't be more perfect. It looks like it may have broken at some point, but someone did a clever little repair job with a picture hanging sawtooth bracket. It's solid now, so I'm just going to hang it on the wall. But getting it straight, that's always the tricky part. Luckily, I have a little hack that makes it easy. If you're hanging something with 2 holes for screws, grab some painter's tape, stretch it across the back, pressing it down firmly over the holes so it sticks. Then use a pen to mark exactly where the holes are on the tape. Next, take that taped up guide and place it where you want your decor on the wall and mark the spot. Peel the tape off of the G and stick it to the wall instead. Now, before you drill or screw anything in, grab a level because just eyeballing it isn't always reliable. If the tape looks crooked, which happens more often than you think, gently peel it back and adjust it to the bubble in your level until it's centered. Once it's perfectly straight, drive your screws right through the marks on the tape. Since this G isn't heavy, I don't need wall anchors. Just a couple of screws will do the trick. And then simply peel off the tape and the screws are going to be exactly where you need them to be. And just like that, my thrifted wooden G, the most fitting letter for our family, is up on the wall, looking like it was meant to be there all along. It's funny how thrifting works sometimes. You never know what you're going to find, but once in a while you come across something that feels like it was just waiting for you. And I dragged this old toolbox home because I couldn't leave it in the scrap metal bin. It's really dirty, but the patina on it is fantastic, and I don't want to paint over it. I want to make sure that I can preserve all of this color. I took it outside and I gave it a really good scrubbing with some soap and water, sprayed it all down so it was nice and clean. Once I had it completely clean and all scrubbed, I set it out in the sun and let it dry really well. I think originally it was probably this green color, but it's just gorgeous now. All of that patina of the rust and the green and the different colors, I wanted to preserve it. So once it was completely dry, I sealed it up with some engine enamel. That's going to make it really durable, but it's also going to seal it and it won't rust anymore. I took it outside and gave it a really good coat over the entire toolbox, inside and out. And as I'm spraying it on, you can see all those colors even pop even more. So this is gorgeous now. You can put a plant in it. You can keep your tools in it in the tool shed, or you can just display it as is. I think it's absolutely beautiful. So worth dragging it home. I always keep an eye out for at the thrift store is pillow shams. And have you seen the price of pillows lately? They are ridiculously expensive. I found this beautiful set at an amazing price, and then I spotted these oversized high quality ones for just $2.99. So of course they went straight into my cart. I have plenty of pillows at home that I can use to fill them, but here's a trick. If your pillow isn't quite big enough, take another pillow, remove the stuffing, and use it to fill in the gaps. This makes sure that your pillow looks nice and full because a flat, saggy pillow just doesn't give that high-end look. Both sets have sturdy zippers, making them easy to fill. Just unzip, stuff, and zip back up. Once I got them home, I tossed them in the washer and dryer, and now they look perfect on my couch. Thrifting pillow shams instead of buying new has saved me so much money, and you never know the difference. So next time you're out thrifting, don't skip that pillow section. You might just find that perfect set for a fraction of the price. Simple, easy DIY. I have all kinds of mason jar lids that are rusty, and I'm trying to use them up. This turned out really beautiful. I'm going to glue it all together with my super glue from Gorilla Glue. Sometimes you just don't think about things. You just throw it together, and in the end, it turns out gorgeous. This was the before, and this is what I created. And I think it looks really primitive now. And I love the rusty mason jar lid on it. Absolutely perfect. Rusty loaf pan. This one's going to turn into a little basket. I had this little handle, not even sure where it came from. It was in my stash and some rusty wire. I'm going to drill a hole in each end of that loaf pan, and then we're going to string that wire through that little handle and attach it onto the loaf pan. If you have any little metal bits when you're drilling through this, just take a little bit of sandpaper and that will sand it down, and then you won't catch your fingers on it if it's rough. Then I'm going to seal everything up with my matte polyacrylic sealer and then attach it all. And I've taken that rusty loaf pan and turned it into a really cute little basket. So don't overlook all those rusty bits and pieces that you have or you see out and about. Just get some creativity going and you can create some beautiful home decor. I can't believe how much pottery I found today. This little trinket dish and matching candle holder are such a great find. I especially love the detail on the candle holder. This is definitely coming home with me, and I think I might need to find a pottery support group. I found the perfect spot for these on my little bookshelf. Since this corner doesn't get much sunlight, I added some faux greenery to the trinket dish and of course a candle in the holder. And once I lit it, wow, the way the light sparkles through the details in this pottery is just beautiful. I've never made my own pottery or taken a class, and it's definitely on my bucket list. I scored this gorgeous oil painting at the thrift store, but it didn't have anything on the back to hang it with. It looked like something was there originally, but it had fallen off. But no worries though. I've got this little hack I love. Save the tabs from your soda cans. They make perfect picture hangers and work just as well as store-bought ones. You can use just one at the top or add two on the sides with a wire, just depending on your project. It's simple and clever, and it's an easy way to hang your artwork, especially if it's missing the hangers on the back. For this frame, I'm just adding one tab at the top. You'll see the little circle at the bottom of the tab. That's where you'll want to screw in your screw. Place it on your frame right in the middle. I didn't have to measure here because there was already a hole from the old hanger, but if yours doesn't have one, just measure to find the center and then screw in your tab. Once done, you're all set to hang it up on the wall. This is nice and sturdy, and honestly, I think it works just as well as anything you would buy at the hardware store. So next time you're about to toss that pop can in the trash, think twice and save a little bundle of those soda tabs instead. Another great thing about these tabs is that the screw fits right in, making hanging your picture a total breeze. You don't have to worry about it slipping or shifting around. This might be my best find of the day. I scored an original oil painting for just $20. The frame's a bit dirty and it's not too fancy, but with a little paint, I think I can turn it into something really beautiful. Lately, along with pottery, I've become obsessed with oil paintings. Every time I find one, I think about the time and patience and skill that it took to create the texture and the depth of the oil paintings. This one is absolutely phenomenal, and it's going to fit in my living room decor beautifully. The texture in the oil painting is so cool. As you can see, the frame wasn't exactly painted with much care. There are spots where the paint is missing and the white areas just don't do it any favors. I think a pop of black might really bring it to life. While I clean off the dust and grime, I'll start putting together a plan for that perfect frame color. I'm definitely leaning towards black and saying goodbye to this white. Most of the oil paintings I find have really ornate frames, so I was surprised when I came across this one with such a simple design. Black it is. I think it's really going to make this oil painting pop. I'm using Bear's Limousine Leather, my go-to black paint, and a satin enamel finish. It's just something I had in my stash and it's perfect for this project. I taped off the painting with some painter's tape because the last thing I want to do is accidentally get any paint on the original artwork. Another idea I'm considering for the future is keeping an eye out for a more ornate frame while thrifting so I can swap it out later. But for now, I'm sticking with this simple frame and I'm just painting it black. And honestly, I think once it's finished, it's going to be exactly what this piece needed. I want to know, when you're out thrifting, what are 2 things that you hunt for that always make you want to do a happy dance when you find them? Let me know down in the comments. For me, it's definitely pottery and oil painting. They're always finds that I can never resist. And here's a fun fact that I just learned. Oil paintings take actually years to fully dry. Unlike acrylics, oil paints dry through a process of oxidation, what can take anywhere from a few months to several years to fully cure. Which is something that I didn't know. A fun fact of the day. Isn't it so satisfying to peel away that painter's tape and reveal those perfect crisp lines? It's like that final touch that really makes that whole project come together. I found the perfect spot for it in my dining room, and I'm really thrilled that I scored this beauty for just $20. Now I'm itching to jump in the truck and head back to the thrift store and see if I can find any more stunning oil paintings. I've been on the lookout for the perfect vase or planter to transform into a Kleenex holder, and I think I finally found one, and it was only $3.99. I needed something for my newly renovated bathroom, so when I spotted this piece, I knew it was going to be the right fit. First, I gave it a really thorough cleaning to make sure it was ready for the next step, and then I took it down to the basement and gave it a nice even coat of matte black spray paint. I applied 2 coats to get that nice finish. I've seen this idea all over Instagram and TikTok, and I love how clever and practical it is, and it's such a great alternative to those bulky, ugly Kleenex boxes that never seem to match your decor. Once the spray paint was completely dry, I popped in the Kleenex, and this transformation was amazing. It's exactly what I wanted, and it fits perfectly with the style of our newly renovated bathroom, and it's so much more polished than just that standard Kleenex box. I was on the hunt for some books to style a little table in my dining room, and I stumbled upon a thrift store deal, 5 books for $1. And you better believe I started digging through these stacks, looking for some larger ones that are going to stand up nicely in my cabinet. I also wanted books with interesting themes that would add character to the space. And let me tell you, I scored 5 books for $1. What a steal. And honestly, a couple of these looked so good, I might have to sit down with a cup of tea and flip through them before they make it into that cabinet. Whenever I find books like this, the first thing I do is take off the dust covers. They're usually ripped, torn, or just a little too worn out, but underneath, that's where the magic happens. The actual books often have beautiful colors, and the lettering along the spine is sometimes really beautiful, and they're perfect for displaying. So with this little bundle I scored for just $1, I'm going to remove all of the covers, and I love what's underneath. I'm not going to get rid of those dust covers either. We're going to hang on to them because I'm going to repurpose them. We're all about upcycling and repurposing here, so nothing goes wasted. So we're going to put those aside, and we're going to have this beautiful bundle of books that's ready to go into the cabinet. Now it's time to repurpose these dust covers. I do a lot of journaling, junk journaling, mixed media, greeting cards. So when I came across paper like this, it is not going in the garbage. This is a total gold mine for me. Most of these covers are pretty worn and not really worth saving as a whole, but there are still so many usable bits. I'm cutting out any interesting pictures, words, details that I can use in my journaling. I've also got my punches and stamps ready to go. I'm going to be cutting out little circles using my tag cutter and making sure that I'm going to use up as much of this paper as possible. Repurposing and upcycling at its best right here now. Nothing is going to go to waste. If you love paper crafting or junk journaling, I've got plenty of videos on my channel for you. Just head over to my video library and look around and find some inspiration. I also have a graphic club on Patreon where you can access a growing library of graphics that I've designed, perfect for paper crafting and DIY projects that you can incorporate some of these pieces in. New graphics are added every week and they're available as instant digital downloads. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, you can scan the QR code right here or check the links down in the description. It's a fun way to get creative with your projects while also supporting the channel. So this is a great way to find affordable books, not only for paper crafting, but also for styling that little thrifted cabinet like mine. It's a win-win, beautiful decor and plenty of paper to repurpose. So next time you're out thrifting, don't forget to check that book section and you're never gonna know what kind of treasures you're gonna find. I spotted this pillar candle holder at the thrift store. I grabbed it. It was only $2.99, solid and possibly pewter, not brass, but still a great find. Right away, I knew I wanted to turn it into a plant stand. To make it work, I used pliers to remove the little point that holds the candle in place, and then I thrifted a beautiful plant pot with a delicate floral design on the front, the two pieces together, a match made in upcycling heaven. To put it together, I used some E6000, my love-hate glue. It's incredibly strong, but getting out of the tube is always a struggle. I applied a generous bead around the lip of the candle holder and then I carefully centered that plant pot on top. Once in place, I stepped away and I let it sit for 24 hours to cure. When I'm thrifting, I always keep an eye out for two pieces that can be combined into something unique and upcycled. I love adding character to my home decor, and the last thing I want is to have something that looks mass-produced and identical to what everyone else has. If you want to speed up the process, try adding a few dabs of hot glue alongside the E6000 around the rim. The hot glue will hold everything in place while the E6000 fully cures, giving you a sturdy bond right away. And here it is, the finished piece. I planted a pothos that I propagated myself, and I love how it all came together. This upcycled plant stand adds so much charm and character to my space, and it's proof that a little creativity and some thrifted finds can go a long way. I hope that inspires you to see some new possibilities the next time you're out thrifting. Keep an eye out for pieces that you can combine and create something truly unique. That you find does not have to be really upcycled. You can just repurpose it for something else. This is the case with these drink coasters. I like them just as drink coasters, but I was thinking, what else can I do with them? Well, I can put them under a vase, just kind of makes it look a little bit more expensive. I can put it underneath a plant, just kind of elevates it a little bit. I love the look of this one. You can also put a magnet on the back of it, turn it into a fridge magnet, and it's kind of that boho feel that looks really great on a fridge. So you can kind of just think outside of the box instead of just using it as a coaster. Think of other ways that you can put this into your home and make it beautiful. And if all else fails, put your coffee on it. I love this next upcycle. I found these little finials and they have little screws in the bottom. They're probably on some sort of piece of furniture, but I had a really great idea. I picked up this bundt pan long time ago. I had it in my stash and I thought, you know what? That's gonna look beautiful on top of that. Got out my E6000, added it around the edge and put it into that bundt pan. I'm going to set it aside, let it dry overnight so it's nice and sturdy, and it's going to turn into a really beautiful little display bowl. You can put flowers in it, you can put any kind of ornaments, seasonal ornaments, or you can just use it for your fruit and vegetables to display on your kitchen counter. I love when I can find projects to upcycle that you don't have to paint and you don't have to do any great big DIYs on them. I can never resist thrifted pottery. As you've seen before, I almost always bring it home with me. So when I found these wine goblets for just $5.99 for the pair, I knew they had potential but instead of using them as wine glasses, I had a different idea. I decided to repurpose them into votive candle holders for my dining room table, and they worked out perfectly. The candles fit snugly inside, and they create a really nice, soft, warm glow that adds like a cozy, inviting feel to our dining room. Thrifting items don't always have to be used for their original purpose. With a little creativity, you can transform them into something new, just like I did with these beautiful candle holders that used to be wine glasses. Next upcycle that was super simple is I had this old frame that I found at the thrift store. I love the blue. I absolutely love it. But I want to put one of my prints in it. So I've got some coffee stain here that I've got just a piece of computer paper. I put some instant coffee and hot water in a little squirt bottle, sprayed it on this paper. This is a super fast, easy way to coffee stain paper. Get my heat gun, dry it, and that fast you've coffee stained some paper. I'm going to press it a little bit so it's nice and fast so it can go through my inkjet printer. And this is my butterfly ephemera that I've got in my Etsy shop. If you want to use this for any of your crafting projects, it's absolutely beautiful. I'm just cutting it to size to fit inside of my frame. I cleaned my glass with a little bit of Windex, put it back in the frame, and I'm just going to take my print and put it inside the frame. And once you see this all put together, the blue that was in the butterflies just kind of complements the blue in the frame. Absolutely love it, and especially with that music background. I had this old rusty toolbox in my shed forever, full of little bits and pieces. I cleaned it out because I knew what I wanted to use it for. I went to the hardware store, got some small nuts and bolts because I'm going to attach some brackets onto this toolbox. I drilled 2 holes in each side to attach the brackets, and then we're going to use the nuts and the bolts to attach it. I also put 2 holes in the bottom of the toolbox in case it ever gets any water or anything in it, because I'm going to put this outside so the water can drain out. I'm going to clean it up really well, take the sticker off that was on it, put a couple holes in the back so we can attach it to my shed. I've put a block of wood on my shed because we want to be able to open up the door of that toolbox when it's mounted and there's enough room at the back. And this is what I created with 2 brackets. I attached the toolbox, and now I have a catch-all toolbox on the outside of my shed for all of my gardening tools. Fabulous candle lanterns in the dump. They were dirty, they were really sun bleached, but they were still in really good shape, and I knew I could perk them up and make them beautiful again. I'm going to take the handle off the one lantern. It just has a jump ring, and I can just squeeze it apart and take it off. And I'm going to put some masking tape around that metal piece because I don't want it to get any spray paint on it. I've taken it outside, and I'm just going to give it a light coat of white spray paint. I want to give it that sun-bleached white color. Obviously, somebody didn't see the potential that these lanterns still had because they turned out beautiful just with a real light coat of spray paint, and brought it back to life for free. The glass votive holder on the inside of the one lantern was still there, was not broken. I cleaned it up and put in a little tea light. And the other lantern, back in one of my older videos, I made some candles with a tuna tin can, and that's one of those, and it fit in there perfect. And look how gorgeous these are. Sun-bleached kind of white look, much better than the before, and they're ready to put out on my patio. This old lantern that I found in the scrap metal bin. It's really rusty, but it has so much character, and I want to preserve that rust. I don't want to paint it. So I'm taking my engine enamel, and I'm going to give it a really good coat and seal in all that gorgeous rust. I love using the engine enamel for this type of a project. It seals it up really well so you can put it out in the elements, and you can find it at an automotive store, or you can also find it on Amazon. And I'll put the link down below in the description so you can check that out. The engine enamel that I bought has a bit of a gloss finish, and it just made that rust pop. I love it. In one of my previous videos, I did some tin can upcycles and I made this tin can. I loved it and wasn't quite sure what to do with it. I know what to do with it today. I made a homemade napkin and decoupaged it on top of this tin can, and it fit in this lantern perfect. I added an ivy and it is going to look gorgeous on my front porch. I've taken this rusty, dull looking lantern and made it into a beautiful piece of outdoor home decor. And I think the choice to save that rust color was the perfect one. Not every upcycle has to be really difficult, and all I wanted to do on this one was just change the color of the base. I wasn't really feeling that silver look, so I taped off the bottom and just sprayed it with some of my black matte spray paint. I think it's just going to update it just a little bit and it'll match my decor much better. So I'm just letting it dry, and then I'm going to take it into my dining room. I'm going to add a little tea light, and I think it just looks much better with that matte black on the bottom than the cheap looking silver. When I stumbled across this frame for just $5.99, I could tell right away it was homemade. It has so much character, and I'm all about that farmhouse vibe in my home still. So I designed this graphic, which you can find in my Etsy store. Here's a QR code, and it's also available free to my Graphic Club members. Here's another QR code, and as soon as I saw this frame, I knew I wanted to incorporate that graphic into it so it would fit perfectly into my farmhouse aesthetic in my kitchen. And I think it's going to look great for the upcoming spring and summer season. This frame didn't need much, just a good dusting and a wash since it was a bit dusty and dirty from the years. Now we're going to seal it up with some polyacrylic sealer. I've got some semi-gloss, and I think it's really going to revive this frame and make those beautiful scalloped edges pop a little bit more. I love when I find a thrift store frame that doesn't actually need a whole lot of upcycling, maybe just some new sealer or swapping out a picture, and it's good as new. You can always find these gems at the thrift store. You don't have to go to places like Winners or Marshalls or Target to buy something brand new. I've found that thrift store offers pieces with so much more character, and with just a little bit of elbow grease, you can create some beautiful home decor at a fraction of a price. I designed a collection of 12 canning label graphics, and they're available in my Shopify store. You can shop them right here. They're also included in my Graphic Club library, so if you're a member, you can download them right away and get started on your next project. I love how these designs bring that rustic farmhouse vibe to life, and I think they're perfect for adding that personal touch to your home decor. If you're interested in checking them out, all the details will be down below, or you can shop it by clicking this link right here. I've printed off the graphic on my inkjet printer and I sized it to fit inside my frame, but since my frame is a little bigger than an 8x10, I'm going to mount it on the mat of the picture frame. I'm going to carefully trim off that white border around the outside of the graphic, taking my time to make sure that it's nice and straight so it looks really neat. Now we're going to grab the backing of the picture frame, which is a perfect surface to mount this graphic on. And I want it to have a little bit of character. So I'm not going for a perfect smooth look. I want it to look like an old canning label that's been used and weathered. So I'm going to gently scrunch the paper, creating some wrinkles to give it that authentic worn look. This will really add to that rustic vintage vibe that I'm going for this strawberry label graphic. I want to create a distressed color edge, so I grabbed some ink and my dabber, and I'm going to gently go around the outside of that graphic to give it a more worn vintage label look rather than just a plain cut white edge. This is going to help it give it that aged rustic feel and make it look more authentic. To attach the graphic, I don't want it to be permanent, so I'm going to use some spray adhesive. This way I can easily switch up the graphics whenever I want to change it for the different seasons. I love these canning labels because I have a whole theme going. There's summer, there's Christmas, and more. So for now, that strawberry graphic is perfect for the upcoming spring and summer season. One thing I had to do was adjust the hanger on the frame. It was going the wrong way, and I needed it to hang vertically, not sideways. So I'm removing the screws and switching the wire out. Instead of putting the wire back on, I'm going to use a little D-clip to hang it up. With the D-clip securely in place, it's time for the final touches. I'm going to give the glass a good clean so the graphic shines through without any dust and smudges. And then I'm going to pop it back in the frame, and just like that, this thrifted $5.99 find is transformed into a charming farmhouse style decor piece, and I love how simple swaps like this can add so much character to a space. Next upcycle is this wicker basket. It was $13.99 and I had a coupon for 20% off at Value Village. So great deal for a really big wicker basket. It's kind of dinged up along the bottom and I'm not really loving the dark wood on the bottom. So I'm going to sand it up a little bit, clean it, and I'm going to put some white chalk paint along the base of this basket. I don't think this needs a lot. It's in really good shape. Other than the bottom has quite a few little dings and chips out of it, I'm going to paint it with my homemade white chalk paint, and I think that's all it needs. It's going to be a great catch-all for pillows and blankets. Okay, we got 2 coats on. And I think I'm just going to take my sanding block and just kind of roughen up around the edges. I think it'll blend in with this material better. But I thought this was a really great deal for $14.99. And I've got lots of extra pillows and blankets that I can tuck away in this little basket, and it's going to look beautiful. Upcycling project that just required a little bit of creativity and some discarded items. I came across an old coffee canister that had seen better days. It was rusty and worn. However, I saw the potential in its unique appearance and decided to turn it into a planter. To add a little something extra, I paired it with a small metal container that I found at the thrift store and used some E6000 glue again to secure it to the 2 pieces. With just a little bit of effort, I transformed what was once destined for the dump into a charming new addition to any home decor. A lovely plant nestled inside this repurposed coffee canister would make a perfect addition to a coffee bar or a kitchen. Remember, upcycling doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it can be easy as breathing new life into forgotten treasures. The graphics on this old coffee canister are so beautiful, and it's rare to come across such unique designs these days. So I felt so fortunate to be able to find this, salvage it, and bring it back to life and incorporate it into my home decor. I'm excited to show you how I'm going to upcycle mine and incorporate it into my craft room. Although the original finish on the spice rack was outdated, a quick fix with a scuff pad, which I've linked in the description below, to lightly sand the surface works perfect. This not only revealed a more modern looking color of wood, I just think that it also looks nicer than that dated orange stain. After wiping it down, I sealed it up with my engine enamel. This is really durable and will allow you to wipe it down or dust it after it's finished. And then I filled it up with a collection of my craft paints. Now I can easily see and access my paints. They're beautifully displayed in my craft room. And the spice bottles that were originally in the rack are the same size as these craft paint bottles. Thrift store frames, there's always so many, and sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, but I really love this one. I love the primitive kind of farmhouse feel to it, and that one's coming home with me. Of course, you can always put pictures in these frames, but what I like to do is if I have old book pages or pieces of newspaper that aren't any good anymore, I love taking them and framing them, and it's a really quick and fast way to upcycle picture frames, and they look fantastic. This was a little magazine that I picked up at the thrift store of some antique advertising, and I kind of think that it fits this frame vibe really well. Cut them to size, put the backs back on, and I'm gonna hang it up in my home decor, and for $2 we've upcycled this frame into something really beautiful. You can also use magazine pages, or remember that book cover that we took off that book earlier? You can frame those and have beautiful prints in really cheap thrift store frames that will really perk up your home decor. Upon a Lazy Susan at the thrift store, and it was priced at only $4.99, which is a fantastic deal. Even though it was in rough shape with scratches and a really ugly stain, I knew that with a little bit of work I could restore its natural beauty. So the best part was it was constructed from solid wood, which made it really perfect for upcycling. I used a palm sander with a 120 grit piece of sandpaper to remove the varnish and the stain from that Lazy Susan. I also took it apart and sanded every part until it was smooth. These are really expensive to buy brand new, so I'm really happy that I found it and I can upcycle it and make it look brand new again. Now I'm going to teach you how to make your own DIY stain using instant coffee. All you need is some hot water, a quarter cup of it, and 2 heaping tablespoons of instant coffee. Mix it all up to create a beautiful DIY stain that's going to make the wood on that Lazy Susan really stand out. To apply the stain, just take a rag and wipe that coffee mixture all over that wood until it's completely covered. The end result is so stunning. All of that grain in that wood just pops and it really enhances it. Not all DIY projects have to be challenging or require upcycling. Sometimes you can just simply bring a piece into your home, give it a good cleaning, and use it as is, or incorporate it into your existing decor. In this case of the Lazy Susan, all it needed was a little bit of surface work, a fresh coat of stain, and a sealant to bring out all of that natural beauty. After applying the coffee stain and allowing it to dry completely, I sealed it up with a matte finish polyacrylic sealer. The end result is stunning and I couldn't wait to display it in my home. I placed it on my dining room table and I'm using it to hold a plant, a candle, and my salt and pepper shakers. It's a perfect addition to my decor and I can't believe I scored it for only $4.99. Cutting boards can be really expensive. Although it was still in really good shape, it had a few scratches and stains and I knew I could bring it back to life easily and quickly. First, I removed the hanger from the top so it wouldn't get in the way, and then I used my palm sander with a 20 grit sandpaper to make it nice and smooth. I don't think it was ever sealed, so I'm going to use my butcher block oil to make it food safe. It's easy to use, and all you have to do is rub it on the wood with a rag, wait a couple hours. I like to put on a second coat, and it'll be as good as new, ready to use in your kitchen. I'll put a link down below in the description to this product. Other products that you can use to seal a cutting board to make it food grade is mineral oil, or you can also use beeswax. These are commonly used to seal up cutting boards. It's important to avoid using regular cooking oils like vegetable or olive oil, as these can go rancid and potentially contaminate your food. This vintage basket that I found at the thrift store for $3.49. While the teddy bears in the basket are incredibly cute, the overall design was just really outdated, screaming early 2000s. However, the basket itself is in great condition and it has so much potential. I decided to strip everything down to the basket so I could use it for a new project. And as for the teddy bears, I couldn't bear to throw them away, so they're going to be donated along with the fabric pieces to the local thrift store. And I'm sure they're going to bring joy to another little owner. Do you remember when we used to dot letters with paint? Back in the early 2000s, this little heart had that technique done on it, but it can be upcycled and made beautiful again. With just a simple cleaning and some faux greenery, this old basket looks perfect again. But that's not all. Let me show you what I did with this little wooden heart that was on the inside. After sanding it down to reveal that natural wood grain, I just left a touch of that original white paint for that charming whitewashed effect. I sealed it all with some polyacrylic sealer. Store finds don't have to be left behind just because they look dated. With a little bit of imagination, you can upcycle them into some beautiful home decor that's going to blend in with your modern decor. So don't overlook those secondhand treasures. They might just be that missing piece that you're looking to add to your home. I found this gem in the thrift store while browsing through the vases and the flower pot section. I absolutely love the unique appearance of it, and I always recommend rummaging through that area because you can discover some incredible pieces to enhance your home decor. Transforming this was a breeze. I just added a touch of black spray paint and it completely revamped it. I think it would be perfect holding a cookbook in the kitchen and making it a stylish display. Next project, I found this wicker basket, probably was for magazines at one point, for $2 at a yard sale. It's in really good shape, but not liking the brown color. I've taken it outside and I'm giving it a really good coat of this yellow spray paint. I am going to transform this to go into my craft room. And I was originally going to upcycle this to keep cookie sheets and muffin tins, but I have a better idea. I love fun, whimsical colors in my craft room, and this is what I upcycled this for. It's gonna hold my vinyl for my Cricut, scrapbooking papers. It's a great little basket to keep everything in one place. I spotted this little cabinet in the thrift store window and I fell in love with it instantly. It was priced at $19.99, but I managed to get it for just $15, and it's solid wood. It has plenty of scratches and dings, but I have a perfect product to cover them up and bring it back to life. No paint for this one. I want to embrace the natural wood because I love its character. I got the piece home and now I can see it better. The scratches on the top are even more noticeable. Some of them are pretty deep, but I'm not too worried because I have just a thing to camouflage them. Around the edges, you can see where the finish has worn off, likely from years of use and neglect. It's definitely been tossed around, but that just means that it has a story to tell. I love the little cubby. It's got lots of storage in there, and this piece has so much potential. So we're gonna get to work and we're gonna spruce this up. The first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take this knob off. And as I was looking closer at the knob, I am wondering if it is an old Bakelite knob. It just kind of has that feel and that texture. This is a product I'm using to restore the little table, Restore a Finish, in the shade Dark Oak. It's made by Howard. It comes in a variety of different shades to match different wood tones. If you're interested, I'll link it in the description because it's an amazing option if you want to refresh a piece without stripping or fully refinishing it. It's super easy to use. Just make sure you're working in a well-ventilated area. I put on some gloves and I grabbed some steel wool, and then you apply the product in circular motions, working it into the wood grain and the damaged areas. Right away, you can see how well it camouflages the scratches and dings. It's like magic. One thing to keep in mind with Restore a Finish is while it does an amazing job blending out scratches and wear, it won't really fully restore those areas. Those scratches and those dings are still going to be there. They're just going to be evened out and camouflaged. Also, if you're working on a piece that has a very high gloss finish, using steel wool might dull some of the shine. So opt to use a soft cloth. That would be a better option. Here's a closer look at how it's blended into the scratches and dings, making the surface look much more even. Instead of looking banged up and worn out, the new wood now has like a smooth, refreshed appearance, while it still has its original character. And the best part about this product is it only takes a few minutes to see the results and have it finished. And it is also very affordable. Now that it's had a few minutes to soak in, about 5 minutes, I'm using a paper towel to wipe off any excess product. This step is important because it helps remove any leftover product that hasn't absorbed into the wood, leaving that surface smooth and even. I'm wiping in the direction of the wood grain to ensure I get the best finish possible, and this step really helps give it that clean look without leaving any of that residue behind. If you don't wipe it off, it's going to just sit on top and it's going to create a greasy, uneven appearance. Here's a closer look after wiping down the product. As you can see, the scratches are still there, but they're much less noticeable now and they've blended in so well. It also gives the piece a nice shiny finish, which makes it look like a well-made, high-quality piece of furniture rather than something cheap and tossed around. I'm going to keep the original knob because I just love it and it adds charm to the piece. Now I'm going to set the cabinet aside, let it cure for about an hour before placing anything on it. We got to give this product time to fully dry. Here's my little table I picked up at the thrift store for $15. I placed it in a bright sunny window and I decided to display some of my plants on it. I absolutely love how it turned out. It looks so much more even and polished, and I feel it even has more of an expensive feel. I'm so glad that I spotted it in that thrift store window. It turned out to be such a great find. across this little wooden napkin holder, and I just love the font on it. I don't really have a spot for it, but it caught my eye and it was such a neat piece. And then I spotted this little vase with the matching saucer underneath, and it instantly brought back memories. My mom had this exact set in her bathroom, and I'm thinking I remember it was from Avon. Now, this piece really had me intrigued. It's a container with spoons all around the outside. I have no idea what it's for. Maybe sugar? If you've seen something like this before, let me know. I left it behind since I don't have a place for it, but it was definitely unique. And of course, I couldn't leave without picking up something little for my granddaughter. She loves Elmo, so he's coming home with me. He'll get a good wash in the washing machine, and then he'll be ready to be played with. And check out these prints. They look like they might be like maybe a paint by number, all hand done, but none of them were framed. I always notice pieces like this and think about the time and effort someone put into them. Such beautiful work. I was on the hunt for candles, so when I found these gold taper candles, there were 3 of them. I grabbed them right away. I'm planning to swap out the plain white ones I have in my dining room. I think the pop of gold will look much better in my brass candlesticks. One of my favorite thrifting finds is candles, whether it's votives, wax melts, or tapers, and you can often find whole bags of them for next to nothing. I always pick them up, even if I don't need them right away, because they're so much more affordable than buying new. I even have a candle drawer in my living room, so whenever I want to change things up, I just reach in, grab what I need, and it's a simple way to save money while still keeping things cozy and stylish. And oh yeah, these were 25 cents a piece. You know that feeling when you have something on your thrifted wish list for ages and then you finally find it? It might be a little unusual, but I've always wanted one of these 1970s bamboo planters. So when I came across this one shaped like a bicycle, I was beyond excited. It's not in perfect shape. There's some unraveling here and there, and it's definitely dusty and dirty, but that's nothing a good cleaning can't fix. I'm going to take it to the sink and I'm going to give it a thorough scrub with some Dawn dish soap and some hot water, and we're going to see what's underneath all of that grime. It also was marked $20, and I was able to pick it up for $10. After a quick Google search, I found that these are actually selling for a pretty good price. I even saw one listed on Etsy for over $70, so they're definitely collectible. I'm not looking to sell this one. I plan to add it into my home decor and put a nice plant in it, but it's always a great feeling when you score something for a fraction of its value. Now I need to tidy up those few pieces of loose bamboo. I'm just going to use my hot glue gun to carefully secure them back in place so they don't unravel anymore. A little bit of glue should do the trick and keep everything looking neat. This piece has some discoloration, so I'm going to use one of my favorite products, Howard's Restore Finish. I love this stuff, and I'll just put a little on a rag and wipe it over that entire planter. I don't think it's going to change the color too much, but it'll even everything out and give the piece a nice refreshed look. Since bamboo is a natural material with similar finish to wood, Howard's Restore Finish will work by penetrating its surface to even out any discoloration and revive the natural tones. Bamboo can dry out and fade over time, and this product helps recondition it by restoring some of its original richness without making it look overly polished or artificial. It's not going to drastically change the color, but it's going to help blend any worn or faded areas, giving that entire planter a more uniform look. Plus, since bamboo has a smooth sealed surface, Restore Finish will absorb just enough to refresh it without making it feel greasy or sticky. When applying this product to your piece, a little goes a long way, so start with just a small amount on a soft, clean cloth, and then gently rub the product in a circular motion, working out any faded or discolored areas. Be sure to apply it evenly to avoid streaks, and for best results, use light pressure, allowing the product to penetrate the bamboo and blend that color. Let the surface absorb the product for a few minutes, and then you can buff out any excess with a dry cloth. This is going to make sure you have a smooth finish without making the bamboo too shiny or leaving that product just laying on the top. And there we have it. How cute is this little setup? I swapped out the original pot for one that I had on hand, added a fresh plant, and now this bamboo bicycle planter is just a perfect addition to my home. You can see why it was on my thrift bucket list. It's absolutely adorable. It's sitting in a sunny window, and I'm excited to watch this plant grow. I found this little cabinet at the thrift store, and I'm pretty sure it was originally a record holder. The bottom shelves look like they were made to store vinyl, but since I don't have a record player, I'm giving it a new purpose, and the books I picked up fit in here perfectly, and I love how it came together. In fact, the next time I'm at this thrift store, I'm going to grab another bundle of 5 for $1. You really can't go wrong with a deal like that. Next upcycle, I found this little wooden box. It's been homemade. Somebody's made it, put a lot of love into it, but it needs some TLC. I'm not going to change it much, and I'm actually not even going to paint it because I love the color of it, but it does need to have some decoupaged paper in the base of it. It looks like maybe the stain has not been blended in very well in the bottom. So I'm just going to measure out a piece of my scrapbooking paper. I'm going to cut it to the size that I need, and then I'm going to use my Mod Podge mat, and I'm going to glue it to the bottom of this little box. These little trinket boxes are really easy to find at the thrift store. I see them quite often, and they're a great way to upcycle for gifts or for Christmas presents. I'm just going to use my Mod Podge mat. I'm going to put a light coat on the bottom of that box and then just lay that scrapbooking paper on top of it. You don't want to put too much Mod Podge down. If you do, it's going to have a tendency to bubble and wrinkle. You don't need very much, just a light coat. And then I'm just going to press it down, make sure that it's stuck really well, get any bubbles and wrinkles out of it, and then I'm going to go back in with just a very light coat of that Mod Podge to seal it all up. I think the top needed a handle. I went into my stash and I found this beautiful black handle, and I had some old screws, and I'm just going to screw it to the top of this box. Thrifting for gifts isn't just budget friendly. It's about finding unique treasures with heart. Gift more for less, because thoughtful doesn't have to mean expensive. And I've taken this little box, added a handle, put a little piece of decoupaged scrapbooking paper in the bottom, and it's made a little cute catch-all box that I think would be perfect to re-gift for somebody. This thrift store find is this little riser or tray. $2.49, and somebody spent a lot of time making this little beautiful project. I am not going to do anything to it because I love it just the way that it is. I'm going to set it up at my kitchen sink, and it's going to be a great place to keep my dish soap, and I have a little pottery dish, and I'm going to keep my scrubber brush in it. $2.50. You bet. Let me tell you about this lamp I spotted at the front counter. It caught my eye immediately. It's gorgeous brass, and that's both elegant and timeless. I grabbed it right away, popped it in my cart, brought it home, and now it's sitting pretty in our bedroom, and I am loving it. The lampshade is just as beautiful. It has like this delicate lace material that adds such an ornate touch. And the best part was only $15. You can't definitely find anything like that at a big box store. This is what thrifting is all about. This is an upcycle that anybody can do. It is so simple, and there are things that you can find at the thrift store all the time. This is just a candle riser. It was $1.99 and a piece off of a light fixture. And it was $2.99. And we're going to incorporate these two pieces together. The first thing that I'm going to do is clean everything up. These little glass pieces were really dusty and dirty, so I'm using my Windex and a paper towel, and I'm going to clean it all up. And then we're going to take it apart. And this was really easy to take apart. It just had little tabs, and I just used a butter knife and just really carefully just opened those up, and then those glass panels came right out. I'm going to be really careful because they're not fragile, but I don't want to break any after I've gone this far on the project. Once I had them all taken out, I'm going to take this outside, and I'm going to spray the base and this light fixture this beautiful gold. These came out absolutely beautiful, and now they're uniform and they're all the same color. We're going to incorporate these two together. We're going to really carefully put those glass pieces back together and fold those tabs down. So next time you're at the thrift store, make sure you go over to the light fixtures section and have a look around and see what you can find. Now we're ready to put these two pieces together. I'm going to get out my trusty E6000. And this is going to hold these two pieces together really well. Once I have a little bit along the base of it, I'm going to pick it up and really carefully center it onto that candle stand and then set it aside and let it dry completely. I think this came together so well, and I'm just going to use one of these puck lights that have batteries in them. You can just put the batteries in the back, press the button, and it lights up and it's beautiful. And you can always put a votive in it too. But what a great piece to add to your home decor on a budget. This is super simple. We always see frames all the time when you're at the thrift store. This one was only $1.99, and I think I might have even got 25% off of that. Put a white piece of paper in the back, get a dry erase marker, and you have a dry erase board to do a to-do list or a grocery list or a reminder list on a beautiful picture frame that you can stick in your kitchen or at your entranceway, wherever you need a reminder. And then you just have to take a cloth and wipe it off, and you're ready for your next list. This is so easy, and you can just imagine the possibilities of all the different frames that you can find at the thrift store that you can add that will match your home and be beautiful. And lately, I have been a sucker for homemade pottery, and this was beautiful. I'm not doing anything to it. I just love it the way that it is, and somebody has taken a lot of time making this. $6.99. I just put a little votive in it and displayed it in my kitchen window, and it's beautiful. And it's so nice when you find these things because they're one of a kind, and if you were to go to a pottery studio and look for things like this, they're so expensive, but how beautiful is this? And I just loved adding this to my home decor. Right off the bat, I found this recipe box, and I can't believe somebody donating this. My mom still has my grandmother's recipe box, and we treasure it. So, of course, I flipped through this a little bit. There's some wonderful recipes in here. This is coming home with me. I was also looking for some cookbooks to put on a shelf in my kitchen, mainly from decor, but when I found these, there's some really great recipes in these old cookbooks. I love the spiral binding on them. These are all coming home with me. I love finding old cookbooks at thrift stores. They have simple recipes using basic ingredients. I found one with awesome cookie recipes and another one with gifts in a jar. Remember those cookie mix jars that we gave as gifts? This cookbook's all about that, and I'm excited to try these recipes and give them as gifts to my friends and family. I'm back home and I'm going through these recipe cards a little bit closer. Who would not want Grandma's Christmas pudding recipe or coconut cream pie made by Grandma? These are such a treasure, and the penmanship is absolutely beautiful. And the tabs are worn, so you know that Grandma has gone through these recipes so many times, flipping through, trying to find the right one for a family dinner. And this little booklet that I found in the back on canning and preserving is so cute. Back in the 80s and 90s, cookbooks were super popular, especially with church or social groups. They put them together to raise money, and these cookbooks I found are just like those. I'm going to have tons of recipes to try, and they're going to look awesome on my kitchen shelf. I prefer hunting for treasures at thrift stores or yard sales to decorate my home, and finding this recipe box was the best, probably my favorite find, and I'm going to cherish it. I can't believe I found this gorgeous double boiler vintage enamel. I love the brown color. It's going to be perfect in my home. It's coming home with me, and the price is excellent. Plus I had a 30% off discount code. I found a similar one on Etsy for $49.91, so getting it for less is awesome. I'm not planning on selling it because it's going to be special to me, but it's cool to know it's worth more than what I paid for it. I brought it home. I'm going to clean it up with some soap and water and hang it on my top rack of my metal pots and pans holder. Might not use it much, but it's going to look beautiful on display. Back to the thrift store. Always check out the craft section at the thrift store because you can find great deals on supplies, usually for less than half the price. Today I found some pastel crayons and some charcoal pencils. They're old and I can still use them, but I love the graphics and the packaging. They're going to look nice on display. There was also lots of scissors, including pinking shears, but I'd already just bought a pair at Goodwill recently, so I don't need any today. Always explore the craft section. You never know what treasures you might find, and you're going to save a lot of money. And how fun is this? Some googly eyes that you probably added to stuffed animals or toys back in the 50s. Love the graphics on this packaging, but I don't need them today. But what I do need is this Omni Grid 12x12 quilter's ruler. I looked it up on Amazon. They're selling for around $25. This is a great find, and it's going to be perfect to add to my craft room. I often come across something at the thrift store that tugs at my heartstrings, like the recipe box. It's a handmade baby blanket, beautifully quilted by a grandma or a mom. I love the floral colors, and it's priced at only $7.99 plus a discount code. I can't resist. I'm taking it home, gonna wash it, and tuck it away for my grandbabies. The next treasure I found was this hand-woven wool rug. It's a bit rough around the edges with a few snags here and there, but it's only $3.99. I brought it home and I was able to tie off those loose pieces with some double knots, and after washing it in some cool water, laying it flat to dry, it now lays perfectly outside the door of my bathroom. $3.99 for a hand-woven rug? Yes, please. Next thing I found might be a bit more expensive. It was $17.99, but with my discount code, it was a bit cheaper. It's handmade and the craftsmanship is really good. However, it does need some TLC as it's never had any sealant on it. I think I'm going to apply some wax to it. Whoever made this has spent a lot of time on it, and I'm going to take it home, remove all of the mirrors, and then seal it with some clear wax. I don't have a spot for it yet, but considering the current prices of mirrors, it's a steal. I'm going to set it aside until I find that perfect spot. It's still a great deal, and someone has clearly put a lot of work into making this window and mirror. Today's video is full of some amazing thrift store finds that I'm going to upcycle. But the first one that I found, it doesn't need to be upcycled. I love it the way it is. $4.99 for this wood slice covered in epoxy, and I'm going to use it to display on my kitchen table here at the cabin. I had this bunt pan and a broken screwdriver, and I glued the two together with some E6000, and I love the way that it turned out and the primitive look of it. I also found this wreath with some faux greenery. It fit right in that bunt pan perfect, and this is ready to put on my kitchen table. These wooden slices can get really pricey, so I was excited when I found this one and it was only $4.99. I found this little metal dish. I just loved how ornate it was, and it was only $2.99, and it was really durable. Like, it was coated in a really strong enamel paint. So I'm not going to do anything to it, but I'm going to embellish it. I had this lid from a candle that the glass had broken. I'd saved it in my stash, and I knew I would be able to use it in one of my projects. I took the plastic ring off. Fit perfect right into the bottom of that little dish. I'm going to take the price tag off, clean it up, and then we're going to glue it together with some E6000. If you're in a creative rut and you can't figure out what to do with some of your pieces that you have picked up, always head to Pinterest because there's so much inspiration there, and you might see something that's similar to what you want to make, and you can put your own spin on it. It's almost like these two pieces were made for each other. I put it at my sink and it holds my little scrub brush, and because that paint is so durable, I don't have to worry about it rusting. Pillows are so expensive, so when I find a good quality one, I always pick it up, bring it home, throw it all in the washing machine, and then add it to my decor. Now this one, the only thing wrong with it was missing a tassel, so I just took off those other 3 tassels. That's going to be perfect for another project. I'm not going to throw those out. And what a cozy, comfy pillow that I can add to our living room and snuggle up with in front of our fireplace. This may be my favorite find of the day, handmade pottery coffee mug. I absolutely love the colors, and I added that to my cart right away. You might have seen me do a project similar to this I love picking these up at the thrift store and turning them into cell phone charging stations. This one was only $3.99. It's vintage, probably from the 70s, and it's in pretty good shape. So all I need to do with this is just drill 2 holes in the side of it for the cords to go through. If you've been following along, you know I love finding original oil paintings in the wild at the thrift store, and this one is no exception. I spotted this beautiful piece tucked away in the corner, and as soon as I saw it, I knew it had to come home with me. The birch trees are absolutely stunning. The details in them are just incredible, but the little barn isn't quite as detailed, but I think it just gives it a little bit more charm. It was originally marked $30, but I managed to snag it for $25. Now I'm going to give the frame a little refresh to make it blend in more seamlessly with my home decor. So let's get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is remove that oil painting from the frame. Luckily, this was super easy since it was just held in with a few nails. I grabbed my pliers and carefully wiggled them out and lifted the painting free. This way we can refresh that frame without worrying about getting any paint on the artwork. Now let's clean up this frame. Over the years, it's probably collected some grease and grime and dust from being hung up and not getting a proper wipe down. I'm using a good cleaner to remove any buildup so we have a nice clean surface for the paint to adhere when we want to start painting. My go-to bare paint from Home Depot is limousine leather, and I absolutely love it. I've used this color in all of my interior and closet doors, so I'm painting this frame to match the rest of my home decor. This is a latex-based paint, and it'll probably take 2 or 3 coats to get full coverage, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. The first coat is done. I'm going to set it aside and let it dry completely. It's already got some pretty good coverage, but it's definitely going to need another coat or 2 to get that rich, even finish. It actually only took 2 coats to get really good coverage, which is great, but I think it needs a little bit more depth. So I'm going to go in with some 220 grit sandpaper to lightly distress the surface. This is just going to give it like that subtle rustic feel, which I think is going to complement that oil painting beautifully. As I was sanding along the inside edge, I noticed some white paint showing through. I didn't want it to stand out, so I sanded a little bit more to reach that natural wood underneath. Now everything looks cohesive and blends perfectly with that frame's new look. Now I'm going to dust everything off from sanding so we have a nice clean surface, and I've decided to use wax to seal the frame. It just gives it a nice beautiful finish. Wax does a few things. It adds a slight sheen, it's going to enhance that distressed detail, and it helps protect the paint from wear and tear over time. Plus it creates a smooth, sealed surface to make it easier to clean and dust. This is going to keep that frame looking great for years to come. I absolutely love using my homemade wax for projects like this. I have a tutorial that's going to walk you through how to make soft wax, hard wax, and even tinted wax. I'll put the QR code right here, and you can find also the link in the description. Making your own wax is such a cost-efficient way to get that high-quality finish for your DIY projects. I've found that it performs just as well as the store-bought stuff, and I love the results. It's a great option if you're looking to save money without compromising on the quality. As you can see here, the wax really brings out the colors and enhances the wood grain with just a light rub. All right, now let's get this painting back in and see how it looks with that freshly painted black frame. I'm going to place the painting back in, making sure the top of the oil painting is with the hanger. Trust me, I've put these together so many times and realized I accidentally had it upside down, so definitely check that it's right side up before securing it. Once it's in place, I'm going to grab those nails, use my pliers to gently secure the painting back into the frame, and we're going to be all set. I think the black frame was the perfect choice for this painting. It really makes it pop. We've just moved into a new home, so the decor is just getting started, and I've got this huge empty hallway upstairs that's like a blank canvas. This is the first painting I've hung up there, and I'm already loving how it looks. I'm planning on creating some gallery walls, maybe add some wallpaper. But for now, I think I like this painting hung right at the top of the stairs. It's just below the light switch, so every time you turn it on, it catches your eye. You can really see how much blank space I've got in this hallway, so I'm excited to fill it with all kinds of thrifted treasures. Whenever I'm out thrifting, I always look for things that I can turn into candles. So when I found this vintage ceramic stoneware, I knew it would be perfect to add a beeswax candle into it. I had some leftover beeswax from a project I did making some beeswax wraps. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put that link down below in the description. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to melt down that beeswax. I like to do this in a tin can, and I've just pinched the edge of the tin can a little bit so when we go to pour it out, it's going to do it more evenly and not spill. I've done this on low heat. It doesn't look low. I know it's bubbling away there, but it is on low heat, about 3, and it took 10 or 15 minutes for it to completely melt down. I had these wooden wicks already. I'm going to place it in the bottom of that stoneware and then add our wick and then pour in our melted beeswax. When you're doing a project like this, make sure you're finding a vessel that's going to be able to handle the heat from burning a candle. I'm slowly pouring in that beeswax, and I'm so excited to turn this into a candle. And then after we burn it, we can always just clean it up and use it in our kitchen also. I love making these as gifts for friends and family. After it's set, I'm just going to trim back that wick. And how beautiful is this? From a vintage ceramic container that we found at the thrift store. I wanted to upgrade the wicker tray that I had on my coffee table, so when I saw this, I knew it was going to be exactly what I was looking for. I just need to do a little bit of tweaking. It needed some feet on the bottom. So whenever I'm at the thrift store, I always head to the toy section and look for wooden blocks. They can be upcycled into so many different projects, but I love to use this size for feet. So I sanded off the graphics on 4 of those little blocks, and we're going to add them to the bottom of this wicker tray. It's just going to raise that tray up a little bit and make it look a little bit more high end. I'm going to use my E6000, but I'm also going to use my hot glue. The only thing that I would suggest when you're using those 2 glues together is try not to mix them in together, but I've never had any problems with them not gluing. And it's nice because you can move your project around and it stays put while you're waiting for it to dry. I mixed up some of my white homemade chalk paint. The base of this tray had never had any paint on it, so I'm going to put a couple coats on that, and then I'm going to flip it over and put a couple coats on the top. The top just had a few scratches in it, and the paint had actually aged and kind of got dingy looking. So by just freshening it up with a little bit of chalk paint, it's going to make it look brand new again. Once everything was completely dry, I sealed it up with some polyacrylic spray, and I love the way that it turns out. Adding those blocks just kind of elevates it a bit and makes it look more high-end. Great find at the thrift store, and I was glad that I was able to upcycle it and fit it into my home. I have these 2 picture frames that I upcycled a while ago and gave them a really distressed finish, but now I'm ready for a change. The graphics inside were from my Shopify store, but I'm feeling a coffee theme for a fresh update. So I removed the glass, take out those old digital downloads, and I'm going to clean the glass up with some Windex. Now we're going to print some new graphics from my Shopify store and size them to fit these frames. Now I love to put that in Google Docs, size them to the size of the frame. I have a full tutorial on how to do that. You can go down in the description and I'll have that link down there for that. And if you're already a Graphic Club member, these designs are also available in the library, ready to download instantly. If you're interested in joining, just check out the details in the description below. I have hundreds of digital downloads available, and you can start crafting right away with all these beautiful graphics that I have designed. I love updating the look with these new prints. It's such a simple way to refresh something that you already have. The one frame just needed a quick hanger change because I wanted to hang it vertically instead of horizontally. And I'm really excited about these Rise and Shine Coffee and Heritage Roaster prints. They're going to be perfect for going right across from where my coffee bar is here in the kitchen. It's so easy to breathe new life into thrifted items you've gotten bored of just by switching out the artwork or adding a touch of your own personal style. Now these frames feel completely fresh, and I couldn't be happier with how they turned out. My home gets so much beautiful sunlight, and I've been on the hunt for the perfect plant stand to take advantage of it. So when I spotted this at the thrift store, I knew I had to bring it home. Just look at how gorgeous it is, and it's going to be such a unique piece. It's going to be perfect for displaying my plants. And the best part, it's solid maple. When I saw it was just $50, I knew it was a steal. The quality and the craftsmanship and the classic design make it such a great find. I love when I can bring home something timeless and both functional and beautiful. And look how it's styled with all of my favorite plants in a nice sunny spot. Isn't this beautiful? $7.99, but I was not really liking the blue color. So I think I'm going to spray paint it with a matte black. A little hack when you're spray painting things like this is when you're at the thrift store, look for a Lazy Susan, or this was like a cake decorating tray, and you can put your project on it and spin it around when you're spray painting, and you can get more of an even coat. They're really handy to have, and even if you can find them in a couple different sizes, keep them in your craft room and you won't regret having them. I added some moss in the bottom, a ceramic pot that I had, and some faux ivy, and I love this. It fits in with my decor here at the cabin and much better than that blue color. When I found this handmade tiered tray, I grabbed it right away, $7.99. But it is coated in varnish, very dated looking. I'm going to use some stripper and see if I can get that varnish off. I'm using the circa 1850 stripper, and I'm just using a chip brush, and I'm really applying it all over the bowl. When I started this project, I realized how difficult it was going to be because getting that stripper on the inside of the bowls and removing that varnish was going to be tricky to get. Any sort of brush or any sort of little, even a toothbrush was hard to get in there, but I kept at it because I had a vision. I want to give this a beachy look or sun bleached or that driftwood finish. So I really wanted this to work. So I'm coating on the stripper. I'm going to leave it for 10 or 15 minutes, let it do its work, and see how much varnish I get off on this first coat of stripper. I have it completely covered. I'm going to put a plastic bag over it just so that stripper doesn't dry out, and let it sit. We're 20 minutes into this, and I'm going to take a scrub brush and see if I can start to take some of this varnish off. It honestly looks like it might have had 4 or 5 coats. It's probably like that lacquer, and it's thick, and it is working, but it's going to take a few coats. Going to do that process again. Put the plastic bag on it, let it sit, and I've committed to this. We're going to make this one work. I did 3 coats, and actually I got almost all of it off. There's still a little bit, so I'm going in with my sandpaper. I've got an 80 grit. It's kind of aggressive because I need to get through those last little bits of varnish, and it's coming down pretty good. I am not going to tell you how long I sanded this because it took a long time. But it was so worth it. I love the way that it turned out. It's exactly what I envisioned. I'm going to keep my candle votives in it. I put a little faux greenery. It was a bugger, but I love it. This was a simple upcycle. I'm going to use it exactly what it's intended for, a plant stand, but it was dusty, dirty. Some of the paint had chipped off of it. So it just needed a refresh. I'm going to, again, use that cake decorating Lazy Susan, put a piece of cardboard on top so I don't completely destroy the Lazy Susan, and just spray. And as you're spraying, you can spin it around and get really good coverage. I put one of my plants on it, and such an easy upcycle. Let me know down in the comments what was your favorite project that I did today. Check out this first find. This is a great deal, $4.99 for a paper punch that's a circle. These are really pricey, so I'm glad that I was able to find this one, put it in my cart right away, and I'm excited to incorporate this into my paper crafts. A sucker when it comes to candles, and finding these for a great deal at the thrift store is always really easy. I found this one. I love the beadwork on the outside, brand new candle on the inside. It was only 50 cents. So this one is heading into my home. I love the way that it looks lit in between all these little beads. Great snag. I'm loving anything that's ceramic and those neutral colors. This was $10. It's a little bit pricey. I'm not going to grab this one, but afterwards, when I got home, I thought I should have grabbed it because it would have made a great candle holder. But I did pick up this one, $5. It already has holes in the bottom, and I think it's going to be perfect to plant a succulent in. So I've got a coffee filter, so we won't have the dirt fall out of the bottom. I'm going to add a few rocks, add some soil. I went to my local Home Depot. I picked up this beautiful succulent. We're going to plant it in this ceramic dish, and it looks fantastic on my patio. And for $5, fantastic deal. And I love that it already had the drainage holes in it. I also found this old cheese box, and it looked like somebody may have had some artificial flowers or fresh flowers in it. I'm not going to do anything to this because I took it to my cabin and it fits my spice jars perfect. So I'm going to store them all the way in that, and then they look pretty. I was thrifting the other day and I came across this gorgeous little crystal dish. As soon as I saw it, I knew it had to come home with me. But instead of just using it as decor, I had a fun idea. I'm going to turn it into a fancy beeswax candle. It's such an easy and beautiful way to upcycle these little crystal dishes. So for this project, I'm using beeswax pellets, which you can easily find on Amazon. I'll drop a link below in the description. And I love working with beeswax because it burns clean, it smells amazing, and it gives you this warm, cozy glow. Plus the pellets make it super easy to melt and pour. When it comes to figuring out how many beeswax pellets you need, here's a quick tip. I always fill the dish I'm using for the candle all the way to the brim. Why? Because once the pellets melt, they shrink down, so you'll actually need more wax than you think to fill it back up. By filling the dish to the top, I can get a better idea of how much I'm going to need for the project. Now it's time to melt the beeswax. I like to use a tin can for this. Just squish the top a bit to create a spout, making it easier to pour the wax without any mess when it's done. I'm going to carefully transfer the pellets into the can, trying my best not to spill them everywhere, and then we're going to head over to the stove to melt it all down. There are a few ways you can melt your beeswax. Some people use a crock pot or a double boiler, but I prefer using a small saucepan. I take my tin can and I place it inside the pan, just big enough so the can can stay steady as the water boils around it. This method lets the wax melt slowly without tipping over or spilling, and it doesn't take long at all to melt those pellets, but just be sure your saucepan is small enough so that the can doesn't tip as the wax melts away. Now that the wax is melted, it's time to add the wick to our crystal dish. I'm using the wooden wicks I found on Amazon. They work really well and they give a lovely burn. Just to secure it in place, I'll put a small dab of hot glue to the bottom of the metal base that comes with the wick and press it firmly in the center of the dish. Now it's time to pour the melted beeswax into our crystal dish. Make sure to use a tea towel or something to protect your hands as the tin can will be warm and we don't want to risk spilling any hot wax or burning ourselves. Carefully pour the wax into the dish and then set it aside and let it cool and firm up. I let the wax set overnight and now it's completely firm. Next, I'm going to trim off that extra wooden wick, and just like that, we've got a gorgeous candle in a crystal dish, perfect for my dining room. These make such thoughtful gifts too. Just a quick reminder, when you're choosing a dish for your candle, make sure it's heat resistant. Opt for something with thick glass to safely hold the wax and withstand the heat of the candle. I always like looking through the old antique books. You have to be careful because sometimes they can be really pricey. Like this one's $6.99 and it's in really rough shape. But they're perfect to stack up on a coffee table or to put on a bookshelf. I did grab this one. I love it. It's in really, really rough shape. It's probably missing lots of pages, but it's an old dictionary. And I think it's going to be perfect to maybe use some pages out of it in my junk journaling, or to just add to any sort of paper crafts. I also like to look for the bigger books that are themed. Like this one's gorgeous, The Great Barrier Reef. And you can take the dust cover off and see if that color of the book is going to match your decor and then display it on your coffee table. I love this one, Canadian National History, and the green color of the book underneath and the spine lettering was great. All kinds of Canadian wilderness that I think is going to tie in with my cabin really well, and it's a fantastic price. Brought this one home. We're going to remove the dust cover. I save these though because sometimes they're really nice to put in a frame later on, and I'm going to put it in our little cabinet underneath our TV at the cabin, stacked with a couple other books. I'm going to nestle in a couple spindles that I've had in my stash, and what a great way to upcycle a book. Always go through the vases at the thrift store. I picked this little brass one up for $2.99. I added some fresh flowers from my garden into it. A great way to perk up your home decor. Brass swan that I found. It was regular $6 and I got it for $3. It was half price. And I think it's going to be really great to either put in the bathroom right beside the sink. If you're going to wash your hands, you can keep your rings or your jewelry in it, or on a nightstand, and you can keep your jewelry in it on the nightstand. But this is so cute, and I grabbed it right away. I've been on the hunt for a napkin holder. Today was a day I found one, and this one's perfect. I don't need to do anything to it other than just cleaning it up. And what a great deal for $2. It looks like it was probably homemade at one point. It's not mass produced. So I'm going to scrub it up, give it a really good cleaning, take it to my cabin, and it looks fantastic on my table. The only problem is I could only find Christmas napkins, but that's okay. We'll head to the dollar store and we'll pick up some more for this season. This thrift store had so many great party supplies. I didn't need anything right now, but if you're looking for something for a kid's birthday, a graduation, wedding, always check there. I was blown away by the selection that they had. Gift bags, wrapping paper, and some of that vintage party decor is worth money. So check it out on eBay and you might find something that you can flip and make a little bit of money on. Cabinets all done. I've got the knobs on and I am so glad I went with this color. I absolutely love it. I'm now ready to style it, and I'm going to style it with stuff that I already had either in the hutch or around my house. Nothing was bought new for it, and let's see what we can put together. So on the top, I've got a full plant in a wicker basket and a rock that I found on one of our vacations, and I Mod Podged on Smile, Sparkle, Shine, a little pottery vase, an old vintage clock. On the next shelf, I've got all kinds of pottery, different sizes, a nice little plant, a homemade pottery plate, a vase, and some old books. All this stuff I've just collected along the way. I'm really loving homemade pottery right now, so that seems to be what I'm picking up when I'm out thrifting. This bowl here with the rippled edge is just beautiful. Some candlesticks that I bleached that were really ugly and orange. They turned out beautiful, and some wicker baskets in the bottom. I'm a plant lover. I'm not sure if I have the greenest thumb, but I do my best. And one thing I always check out at the thrift store is the glassware section. Small glass dishes and even vintage ashtrays make perfect little catch-alls for plant water, adding a touch of elegance while being super practical. I've got some pothos propagating here, and since ceramic planters can sometimes let a bit of moisture through, I'm placing a crystal dish underneath, and it helps protect my furniture while it still looks beautiful. I needed a new teapot because Kirsten's coming to visit soon, and my old one was just a little tiny thing. So when I spotted this beauty for only $4.99, I had to grab it. She loves a good cup of tea during the day, and this teapot is just perfect. Can you ever have too much pottery? I don't think so. I absolutely love handmade pottery, and this piece is stunning. The lid, the details, everything about it is beautiful. Into the cart it goes, straight into my pottery collection. And look at this adorable 3-bowl handmade pottery piece. It's only $3.99, perfect for little treats or condiments. And I'm so glad I found these pottery pieces today. Such great deals and such beautiful craftsmanship. Next time you're at the thrift store, make sure to check out the smaller frame section. This one caught my eye. It was only $3.99 and the perfect size for my next light switch hack. So I brought it home, and now we're going to start by removing the back and the glass. We don't need that for this project. After that, I'm going to clean the back of the frame really well with some rubbing alcohol. This is going to help to get rid of any fingerprints or greasy residue, ensuring that the frame is ready for the next step. Next, we need some double-sided tape. I picked this up on Amazon and it works really well. It sticks to the wall without leaving any marks. This is perfect because if you decide to move it later or change its location, you don't have to worry about making any holes in the walls. We're just going to cut off 4 small pieces of double-sided tape and place them in each corner of the frame. We're going to press them down really firmly to make sure that they stick well. And once that's done, the tape will have a peel-off backing. So we just need to remove that, and then we're ready to stick the frame where we want it. You're not going to believe how beautiful this looks once it's on the wall. I have some very boring light switches in my dining room, and I think this is a great way to make them look a bit more elegant and cover up those ugly switches. We haven't gotten around to being able to change all of our light switches yet to more modern ones, so this is a perfect way to camouflage them a bit and give them more of a stylish look. I absolutely love how this frame adds a touch of elegance around the one in our dining room. I knew I had to have it. It's gorgeous. And it has a half stamped into it. There's no other markings. Oh, there might be a little marking on the bottom, but it's kind of worn. It might just be a piece that's kind of worn off. If anybody has any idea of what this would have originally been used for, I am going to put one of my plants in it, and I think it's going to look gorgeous. This was $9.99, so it was a bit more expensive, but it's an antique crock, so I think it was definitely worth it. I found this beautiful canister set at Value Village. It's a little funky for my taste, but someone has put a lot of time into painting it. And the best part, all 4 canisters were only $10.99, and they're solid pine. Such a great deal. I think I'm going to freshen them up a bit and give them a new look. They've got a few dings here and there, and some of the stain is missing in spots, plus the edges are really sharp. So I'm thinking I want to soften them up a bit. I'm going to go in with a 120 grit sandpaper and round out the edges to give them more of a worn, well-loved look, like they've been handled and used over time, rather than just a bunch of pine pieces nailed or stapled together. I want them to have that warm vintage feel. I've decided to keep the painted tool art on the front and not sand it all the way down. I really appreciate the character that it adds, and someone obviously put a lot of time and effort into it. For this project, I'm just going to embrace it. However, I'm going to lightly sand down the paint a bit because it's raised above the wood, so I want it to blend in more. The goal is to make it look like the design is part of the wood itself, almost like it was like a transfer rather than something being painted on top. I used my palm sander on the edges and the top to smooth out things, but when it came to sanding down the paint, I switched to hand sanding. This way I could control how much I was taking off and make sure I didn't damage that artwork. I could really feel how much pressure I was applying to avoid ruining those paintings and just blend it in nicely. To blend everything in, I'm going to be using Howard's Restore Finish. I'll put the link to it down below in the description, or I'll have a QR code right here. It's going to even out the stain where it's chipped or it's not quite matching that original color and help smooth out those edges that I just sanded. I'm really loving how this project is coming together, and I'm always seeing canisters at the thrift store, so they're easy to find and a perfect piece for upcycling. Howard's Restore Finish is a wood finish restoration product designed to bring old, worn out wood furniture back to life. It helps blend scratches really well, blemishes, fading, and it's going to restore the wood's natural color and luster so you don't have to strip or sand. And it's ideal for refinishing furniture with just minor damage or uneven color, as it soaks into the wood and it helps even out that finish. It works on all kinds of different types of wood: oak, cherry, walnut, pine, making it a great option for quick touch-ups on furniture restoration pieces. If you haven't tried Howard's Restore Finish, I definitely recommend heading to the hardware store or grabbing some on Amazon. It's amazing for projects with blemishes. Just try it out and see how amazing it works. While this product is great for blending imperfections, there are a few situations where it might not be as effective. It's not going to fix deep scratches, gouges, structural damage to the wood, so it's not ideal for use on heavily worn or damaged furniture. This product also has a shiny finish, so if you're working on something that has a matte or a satin finish, it might not blend all that well. It's always a good idea to test it on a small hidden area first to make sure it's the right fit for your project. I've got them all refreshed, and I love how even and cohesive the tone is now. To finish them off, I'm applying my DIY hard wax. I have a full tutorial on how to make this. You've got this QR code here, or I'll put it down below in the description. It's really easy to make, and we're going to put it on the outside surface. This is going to give them a nice protective layer so they can be easily wiped down with a damp cloth. Perfect for the kitchen. Now it's important to use a wax or an oil-based product over Howard's Restore Finish because it's also oil-based. If you try to use a water-based polyacrylic, it's not going to adhere properly and you're going to end up with issues in your finish. They're all finished and I have them sitting on my kitchen counter, and I am in love with how they turned out. I'm so glad I didn't paint them and was able to keep that natural wood tone, plus keeping the painting over on the other side. So if I ever change my mind, I can just turn them around and enjoy that floral design. So what do you think? Do you like that floral painting, or do you prefer the natural wood? Now that I have them on my counter and I'm switching them around, I have to say I don't hate it. In fact, I actually kind of like it. I might switch it back and forth depending on my mood. Either way, I'm just thankful I found this canister set for such a great deal. Next up, a kitchen makeover. If you look behind these canisters, you're going to see that baby blue paint we definitely need to take care of. We bought this house a couple months ago, and we've been going room to room, updating and giving everything a fresh new look. On to the kitchen makeover. Thrift find I'm going to show you is this gorgeous lampshade. I love the fabric, beautiful butterflies, beads have to go. And if you have priced lampshades lately, they're really expensive. So I always am scouring the thrift store when I want to pick up some. Now these ones, I'm just going to take off the little beads. I'm going to save the beads because we can use those for another project. I should have got a little dish to put these all in, but it's really going to make this lampshade look a lot more modern. It's going to fit my decor really well, and it's so easy to upgrade a lampshade, even if it's got some tacky little beads on it. So I'm just going to work away and remove all these beads, and I'm going to style it on my lamp and show you how gorgeous it is. Oh, and this was $2. I've got all the beads off, and you can see how much nicer this looks. It looks like a really high-end lampshade now. I've got the perfect lamp. We're going to put it on, and I'll show you how I styled it. spoon catch my eye. And wooden spoons are really expensive too. This was 25 cents, but it is thirsty. It is really dried out. So when I see things like this, wooden bowls, wooden spoons, there's a really easy way to upcycle them. And that's using mineral oil. You can find this at the hardware store or on Amazon. I'll put the link down below in the description, but you want to use something that's food grade. This mineral oil is fantastic. It's going to moisturize that wood. You can see how it's soaking right into that wooden spoon. There's so much life left back in this. And once we get the mineral oil on it, it's going to be fantastic to put back up in the kitchen. But you can see how it's soaking in and making it look brand new. So don't pass those wooden bowls, wooden spoons, or anything, cutting boards. Just grab some mineral oil and wipe it on. Let it sit for a few minutes. It's good to go and add to your kitchen. Because the opening here just seemed really small and I didn't know if a candle was going to fit in it properly. It's beautiful. It's handmade. It's got the initials on it. I'm just going to pick up a candle and see if we can make it work. So this was $2. The little candle, see if we can get it out of the wrapper here, was 25 cents. Always look for candles when you're at the thrift store. It's so much cheaper and you can get some really good quality ones. There is some wax on this. It does need to be kind of cleaned up a little bit. I can probably just take my fingernail and scratch some of this and then take it up and give it a real good scrub with some soapy water. I think if I just melt the bottom of this candle, it's going to have it stay upright. And it's gorgeous. I'm always looking for pottery. It's so unique and it's so original and my house is full of it. At some point, I probably should stop collecting it, but it's just so gorgeous and I love it. So I'm gonna style this up in my living room. 5 books for $1. So every time I go, I grab 5 books and I use them in my decor. And what I usually do is I'll bring them home and I'll remove the jackets and use these to prop up decor or put them in a bookshelf. But 5 for $1, you can't beat that price. And I don't throw out the jackets either. I'll cut them up or I'll punch them with paper cutters and I'll add them into my junk journaling projects or make cards out of them. But I grab these and they're all kind of different colors. And nothing is more beautiful than a stack of books in a hutch or a buffet. And books sometimes can be really expensive. So when I found this store and they had them 5 for $1, it's a great find. And you can see all these different colors. Let's stack them up like this. Isn't that pretty? And to put in a dresser or a buffet. And I also found this little music book and it's missing the cover. But how fantastic would this be for your junk journaling or make into envelopes, and you could coffee dye them, tea stain them. So I picked this one up. It was 25 cents. No brainer. excited when I found this. I've actually been looking for one for quite a while, and I was inspired by Instagram. I saw an account, and I can't remember who it was because I would give them credit, but I can't remember. They found one of these and they turned it into a propagation station. Now, I don't know if these are meant for wine bottles. They seem kind of low, but look for glasses that will fit inside. So I found 3 of these beautiful glasses for 99 cents a piece, and they fit right in here. And 99 cents just even for drinking glasses. And these are really good quality heavy ones is a great deal too. So all of my drinking glasses I picked up at the thrift store. And then we're just going to fill them up with water. There we go. Now I got sticky tape all over my fingers. You think some of these things I would do off camera and just tell you they were 99 cents, but I do like to prove that I only paid 99 cents for these glasses, and then you have to watch me struggle taking these stickers off. You just fill them up with water. And we are going to propagate some plants that I had in my house already. We're going to make free plants. And how cute is this in this little caddy? Just stick them in the water, put them in a nice sunny spot in your house, and watch them grow roots. And it's so pretty. Got some ivy here. We'll stick in. So be on the lookout for a little caddy like this at the thrift store. When I was in the thrift store, I fell in love with it. It is an original, but the mat is really kind of water stained and not that great a shape. The frame is a little bit chipped up. So I asked the lady how much it was, and she picked it up and she said, oh, because there's some water damage, you can just take it for free. And I'm like, that's really generous. Thank you so much, because I'm going to upcycle it and make it beautiful again. And she said, then just take it. It's free. So I brought it home and I Google searched it because I wanted to find out if I could find out more about the artist. I took a photo of the signature here and of the painting, and I couldn't find anything. So I am definitely going to be really careful with the actual original painting because I don't want to damage it. I do want to fix up the frame and the mat. So I am going to take it apart. It is already ripped on the back. So I'm just going to remove that and take the painting out. And I might actually see, maybe there's something written on the back of the painting. So let's take this out and see if we can find any more information on it. Okay, I've got all of the paper backing off and the staples off. We're going to do this together. I have not looked at it yet. Let's see what's underneath. We have a piece of cardboard. Oh, it looks like canvas. And there's 4 stains in each corner, which kind of makes me feel like it might have been mounted a little bit differently, or maybe that's the water stain. That's probably the water stains maybe on from the mat. But there's no markings on it. There's nothing. We're going to remove it off of this. It's really stuck. I'm just trying to be really careful with it because I don't know if it's worth anything. And I want to do more research on this. If there's anybody out there that is has a lot of knowledge in this kind of stuff, I'll put a real close up of the signature here and of the actual painting. Let me know down in the comments if you have any idea of who it could be and whether it's worth anything. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to fix this up though and make it look nice and put it all back together because I think it will look really beautiful in a gallery wall in my house. So I've just got some acrylic paint. It's called Antique White. I think it's going to complement the mat really nicely in the painting. And this is a great way to upcycle those pictures that you find at the thrift store that are really dated. You can just remove that mat, paint it, and put it back in and have it match your decor. So I'm going to work away at this. And I think I'm also going to go in and paint the picture frame. I think I'm going to do it in black. We'll be back when I have everything refreshed and painted. I already love this and I haven't put it back together again. The black frame, the antique white mat. We're going to just tape this back on. And I'm going to continue doing some research and see if I can find out anything about this artist or the painting, because it is so beautiful. I'm excited to put it on a gallery wall. Oh, that looks so much better. Let's put it in the frame. We'll put in the cardboard and we'll put the staples back in. So I have saved the best for last. This lamp is absolutely gorgeous. I actually didn't find it at a thrift store. I found it at a yard sale and they wanted $5 for it. It is beautiful. I have this little corner in our bedroom. It's a work in progress. I want to do a gallery wall. I need to get some nice pillows and a blanket here for the couch. But I was looking for a little lamp that I could put right here that was going to kind of fit in with it all. And this was brought to me. It needs some TLC. It needs a good cleaning, but nothing that I don't think a little bit of rub and buff can make beautiful. So everything that has metal, I'm going to put some rub and buff on. I'm going to clean up the glass pieces and I have the perfect spot for it right here. This light is unbelievably beautiful, but the base is tarnished quite a bit. So I'm going to try, I'm not sure if I can get it down nice and smooth, but I'm going to use some cleaner. And then we're going to go in with some steel wool and see if we can smooth it out some. It's dusty and dirty. It looks like it's probably been in somebody's garage or barn for quite a long time. Let's just see if we can get it smoothed down with some steel wool. This is 0000 steel wool. You don't want anything abrasive when you're trying to do something like this because it will scratch it. This is just probably a brass plated base. It's not solid brass, so it wouldn't take very much to scratch right through that brass, and we don't want that to happen. So we're just going to lightly just go over it with this steel wool. And actually it's working. I can feel it kind of knocking some of that down. So I'm just going to work away at this, just really gently, just kind of scrubbing it and preparing it for some beautiful rub and buff. Okay, I've got it cleaned pretty good. There are still a few little raised spots here and there, but it's as smooth as I can get it. And I've just wiped it off. And now we're going to go in with some rub and buff. If you've not used rub and buff, what a fantastic product. And a little bit goes a long way. Now, the one that I'm going to be using is called Antique Gold. And I just have a little cloth and you just put it on the cloth, just a little bit, and just start to rub it on. And it's going to transform that tarnished look into something that's much more newer looking and more even. The rub and buff comes in quite a few different colors. So if you have a chance, head to Amazon or head to your craft store and see if they have any and give this product a try. It's really easy. You just rub and buff and put it on. So I'm going to apply this to the whole base, and I'll be back when it's all finished. Okay, I've got it all coated. It looks pretty good. It's not perfectly smooth, but it definitely looks better than it did before. So we're going to take it back up to the bedroom, and we're going to see how it looks in the little corner beside our little sitting couch. I hope you got some inspiration from today's video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we're gonna see you in the next video. And if you love this video, I'm sure you're gonna love this next video I have right here. It's fun, and I think you're gonna enjoy it. Take care.